Hey everybody, Chris Petrocchi here, and today I'm going to take you on a sketchbook tour of my sketchbook Freezer Burn. And before we do that, I wanted to remind you that my ebook Essence is up on my website at chrispetrocchi.com. It's got figure drawing, step-by-step tutorials, and all that wonderful stuff, some concept art. So if you're interested, go up to my website and get that. And but Freezer Burn, that's my sketchbook, and we're going to get to it right now. Okay, this is my sketchbook tour, but it's a little bit different. The sketchbooks on the left here, these are your basic sketchbooks that you can draw in every day. But this one on the right is a commercial sketchbook. It's something that was put together over many years of these kind of sketchbooks and piles of drawings, and taking the best ones and scanning them in and making a book out of it that I could sell. So I made this book back in 2004 when me and a group of friends went down to the San Diego Comic-Con to sell them. So the advantage of a commercial sketchbook is that you could potentially sell it for money. So this one's called Freezer Burn, Burned Again. And Freezer Burn was the name because these sketches, drawings were sitting in piles for so long, it was like they were in the freezer and got freezer burned. So that's the title there. So let's go ahead and open it up. So basically I had all kinds of figure drawings, character designs, everywhere, just stacked up in piles. Some of them are charcoal, some of them are pencil, some of them are digital, mostly pencil though. So it was what you'd expect, just exploring the figure in figure drawing class, or on just from imagination to try and handle the figure, making up characters, trying to put the figure in any different kind of position, in action, telling a story, making up a character. I'd also draw people in school, just in class. So I was drawing all the time with my sketchbook. So you can see here's a charcoal figure drawing. This is a pencil drawing. So this one was a lot bigger than this one. This was maybe original size. This one was probably 9 by 12 on an 18 by 24 charcoal paper newsprint. This was from a little animation that I did for a job, a game actually. So there's a couple of drawings there in sequence. And so a sketchbook definitely helped me to keep my chops up, right? Just practice, practice, practice. These are some illustrations here that were natural media. And it's a great way to just continually make progress here. This is a pencil drawing basically for a story that I did in school. It was an animated short about a woman stuck in a dungeon, and the story is about how she gets loose from that isolated place. I love drawing the figure. There's no machines in this sketchbook. At that time I wasn't into that kind of thing. I didn't like straight lines at all. So I was just into organic shapes and the figure in action. This here is watercolor. So this sketchbook is in black and white except for the color, except for the cover. So this was a color piece, but still I enjoy using all kinds of mediums: watercolor, pastel, charcoal, pencil, oil. You can see this one was like done on a piece of binder paper and then cut out. They're combined. Some of the times the pages are combined in a way where you can tell a little bit of a story. Here you can tell I was using boxes to construct the figure. and that's what we had learned in school at the time. This was color piece on pastel on Canson paper, but even in black and white it holds up quite nicely. And there's lots of different techniques here. This is almost like a semi-blind contour where you're looking just at the figure and not at your hand on the page drawing. And then you're just checking when you lift the pencil up where you're going to put it back down. So it's a kind of a guided blind contour. And then these are for a storyboard panels here for that lady in the chain that we saw previously. That's how she, when the light comes on, she kind of goes from here to here and recognizes, wow, she's in awe. Something wonderful, something powerful is going to rescue her. This is a guy from school. Here's a little shot of a low camera angle of a figure jumping over the camera or starting to jump over the camera. So just constantly seeing what I can do with the figure. Here's, kind of a little story going on. Two figures, one big, one small. Big against small, contrast. Lots of charcoal stuff from figure drawing class. So I'll go from kind of like value massing in with a hunk of charcoal to more of a pencil line kind of thing. So there's the linear approach and the massing in of value approach. Here's a little bit of both. There's a little character design right here. And then this vertical piece was one of the first digital paintings I did. I think we'd just gotten a Wacom tablet, a 4x5 Wacom, and was just exploring how that worked. That was just coming in to being at that time. They had Photoshop, but they didn't have like a real good way to bridge the digital so that it was like drawing and painting, but suddenly with the Wacom there it was, you could draw and paint like oil paint, watercolor in the computer. It was awesome. Here's another couple of character designs for a project. More figure drawings. And then again, some imaginative pieces. This is a watercolor piece I did for a company. And then this is just practice at work, actually doodling. I think some were done in blue pencil. Some more cartoony, some a little bit more realistic. Some characters, monkeys jumping, stretching. This page is kind of an exploration of characters for a painting that ended up looking like this, and it was a gouache piece of a sumo wrestler against all these Japanese superheroes. So it was a pretty cool painting in the end. And then experimenting with different camera angles and lenses. So this is a low camera angle looking up with maybe an 18mm or 24mm lens. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very exaggerated. The things close to the camera are really big, and things quickly get smaller and smaller as they recede from the camera with a, let's say, a fisheye lens or a 18 or 24mm lens. Some character design, some texture. A group of faces here. Some more characters for a story that I still have not developed, but there's a basic structure for that. This is a gouache piece done with Conte underneath and then spray fixing it and then floating watercolor and gouache over the top. Sketching people. This is a acrylic piece, I think, an illustration, back when I was doing only illustration. This was location watercolors from Italy, from Umbria, from the center of Italy where all the ancient hill towns are. And I took a watercolor class there for 2 weeks in Tierney, Italy, and just went around and sketched. It was awesome, so amazing. Everywhere you turn, it was like a painting to be done. Now this is a digital Photoshop piece from National Geographic, just using reference of ancient ships from Columbus times, and just practicing painting. Some fashion magazine stuff, an oil painting. I took a class with Thomas Blackshear at the Academy of Art in San Francisco, and this was a study from that class. You can't tell, it was color, but. And then this is a couple of digital paintings that I did practicing with Photoshop and my Wacom tablet. I'm trying to figure out how to make digital things look traditional. And these are some of the first things I ever did. This is a pastel piece on Canson. This is oil, again from that Thomas Blackshear class that I took. It was a workshop. That was very fun. These are gouache pieces of Dan Quayle, Barbara Quayle, back, I don't know, vice president. And then this was interesting. I'd met a gal and she asked her if she'd be a model, and we went and rented a gown, and then we went around different spots in the Bay Area, in Half Moon Bay and the Alameda Pulgus water temples, and I took photos and kind of used them as reference for paintings, and that's what was on the cover of this book, was from that session working with her. So here's some pencil drawings, again, of just some kind of cyborg, transhuman, almost kind of girl with a gun and robot sexy girl kind of thing. And then this was, I don't know, Lord of the Rings meets Helpless Woman, I guess. Okay, another more Lord of the Rings stuff. So I would say just draw every day, all the time, because it's pencil mileage that's going to get you where you want to go. You just have to get all the bad drawings out of the way. And so these are all the good drawings. Like I said, I cut them out of all these sketchbooks and drawing pads and put them together into a nice book that I sold. Went to the zoo, right? Drawing animals, tigers, lions, birds, penguins, and just drawing all the time. That's my cousin right there. I did a little study of her. This is a charcoal drawing next to a ballpoint pen drawing. So your technique, you can put a technique over any solid structural drawing. If you have a good gesture, construction, and anatomy, that's your foundation. The technique over it, you can wrap that over it. So whether it's ballpoint pen or charcoal, watercolor, oil, those are techniques. And if you know your foundation, you'll be able to almost pick up any technique fairly quickly. This is interesting. This is when I was in the hospital. I spent some time in the hospital. I was pretty sick, and so I was tethered to these IV poles, and man, it was just, I wanted to run away. So I did these panels and characters running away from their IVs and IV poles. Even though they kept me alive, I wanted to get the hell away from them. So it was kind of a good way to express my feelings and survive that time. And there's me, a mess. Okay. This was in Japan, some watercolors. So it's really kind of just everything almost thrown together from what I had done up to that point. This was my work, and I'd had enough of it that I could actually make some kind of statement, you know, put together a book, show people what I could do, go out there and put it up for sale and see what happened. These are plein air, kind of on location sketches on gray paper with ballpoint pen. This is a mixed media with oil, gouache, acrylic, and Photoshop. And this was an early experiment in how to do Photoshop, coming up with a sci-fi kind of background, which was a mishmash of stuff, and I couldn't really figure it out. I couldn't finish it. I didn't know quite enough about how to get it done, or at least how to separate my values to create zones or ranges of space and depth into the picture plane. So everything was, these characters, I don't know if you can see them, but those are like a acrylic painted, and then they're scanned in, and then these are all photo referenced from all over the place, and then this is a background in San Francisco. Didn't really work out. An illustration I did for a client in Illustrator. And then this was Fern Gully. I was a layout artist there. There's a lot of backgrounds for that. And that's about it. This is from Rugrats Thornberry's console game. And so that was a little layout of a background there. And the final back cover. So that is my sketchbook tour. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, the reason why you'd keep a sketchbook is to show people what you can do, show yourself your progress, and then eventually you can maybe make a nice little book, put it together and sell it. So I really hope you enjoyed this sketchbook tour. This is Chris Petracchi, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.